Buying in New York City is unlike buying in anywhere else in the country. One wrong move, like not getting the right pre-approval or not understanding co-op guidelines, can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and that dream apartment that you want. So today I'm counting down the top 5 mistakes that buyers make in New York City real estate and how you can sidestep them to buy smarter, save thousands, and get that dream home apartment that you want. But first, I'm Dewey. I'm your New York City real estate resource. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and let's get started. Number 5 is not using the right buyer's agent. Okay, now I know that this can sound like a shameless plug for my services, but having a great buyer's agent is crucial to the process and will help you jump ahead of a lot of the competition that's out there and make you very desirable for selling agents to want to work with. Also, as I mentioned, New York City is unlike anywhere else in the nation when you're buying. It is a very data-driven market that works off specific information that probably most buyers are not privy to. And also there are the co-op guidelines and the condo guidelines and all of the rules and financial requirements that you must meet to be able to buy into buildings in New York City. So it's a much larger process, and most buyers benefit greatly from having a great buyer's agent. Now, of course, I say a great buyer's agent, because the fact is there are plenty of New York City real estate agents that may not know what they're doing, that can only open a door and show a pretty apartment. You want someone who can hold your hand through the entire process, who understands the market, who can help you be competitive, but also help you with all of the administrative work and the rules and guidelines that go into buying in New York City. Trust me, if you have a good partner on your side, you will be more than happy that you hired that buyer's broker. Number 4 is moving too slowly in a fast-moving market. New York City is famously fast-moving, and real estate is no different. What is key here is that you are prepared, and certainly, as I said before, a good buyer's agent is going to make sure that you are prepared for everything that you need to put in an offer. There is nothing worse than finding that dream home and then you as a buyer not being prepared and somebody else swooping in who is prepared with all the correct information, pre-approvals, paperwork, financial criteria, and they get that apartment before you have even had a chance to put together your information. So you want to make sure that you're prepared, and you want to make sure that you have the ability to move fast once you see something that you love, because you want to jump on that, you want to be competitive, and you want to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row to be able to make a strong offer and then to move forward with all the criteria that will follow when you're purchasing in New York City. Number 3 is underestimating the costs and financial criteria involved in buying in New York City. Now, people are always concerned about the closing costs, and you need to have a good, strong, solid grasp on the differences between closing on a co-op and closing on a condo. But more than that, you must be prepared for the financial criteria that buildings are going to require, particularly if you're buying a co-op. Co-ops make up about 80% of the inventory in New York City, so chances are you will be looking at co-ops in addition to condos when you're purchasing. But those co-ops get to make their own rules, because in essence they are a private company and you're buying shares into that company. So they get to set any kind of criteria that they'd like, including the kind of financial criteria like your debt to income ratio and how much liquidity you have. They get to set all of those requirements, and it's different from building to building. Not to mention the down payments in New York City are set by the buildings, not your bank. So many co-ops require 20% down, condos may require 10% down, co-ops can go from 40 to 50% down. So you really need to understand what you're getting into from a financial criteria. Now, that does not mean that you cannot qualify to buy in New York City. It's like a giant puzzle that your buyer's broker is going to help you piece together in terms of what your financial criteria looks like, how much money you actually have to invest in this equity, and then matching you to the right buildings that will accept that criteria. Mistake number 2 is ignoring co-op rules and restrictions. As I just mentioned, co-ops get to make their own rules, their own financial criteria, and some other criteria to become a shareholder in the company that owns the building. Generally speaking, they do not change those rules for anyone coming into the building. There may be some approvals that consider case-by-case basis, but you do not need to waste your time and efforts looking at buildings that will not meet your criteria. Let's take a very simple example. Many people come to New York and want second residences. Perhaps they live somewhere else and they want to visit New York, or they come here for work periodically. That's called a pied-à-terre, and many people do that. However, not every building in New York City allows that. They must specifically say that they allow pied-à-terres or second residences. For New York City co-ops, having too many pied-à-terres or non-residents can affect a myriad of things about the building. First off, co-ops are designed to create a nice, strong community, but it also can have financial impacts. It can cause the building to be difficult to mortgage and many other things to have too many pied-à-terres. So there are buildings who will absolutely say no pied-à-terres. However, if you don't know what you're doing and you start going and just looking at buildings and you fall in love with an apartment and then you get angry over the fact that you can't buy in that building, well, that's because you didn't do your proper research and have someone on your side to help you through that process. So that's just one example. There are many rules and restrictions that you must consider whenever you're buying in New York City. And if you're working with someone who understands all those rules and restrictions, then you can piece that puzzle together in a more strategic way. You can go and look at things and fall in love with an apartment that you know you will be able to purchase. All right, so let's recap before we get to number 1. Number 5 was not using a buyer's agent. Number 4 was moving too slowly in a fast-moving market. Number 3 was underestimating the financial requirements to buy in New York City. And number 2 was ignoring co-op rules and restrictions. So now that brings us to number 1, and the number 1 mistake that buyers make when buying in New York City is not getting pre-approved the New York City way. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with being prepared financially and understanding the co-op and condo process. Being pre-approved does not mean just bringing a generic pre-approved letter to the market and saying, I'm ready to buy. Being pre-approved is a much more extensive financial process because agents must understand your financial criteria in addition to being pre-approved to be able to purchase into the building. If a selling agent sees that you aren't pre-approved well and that your financial criteria is not available, they're not going to consider your offer because you must be able to pass the board's requirements and a board interview if it's a co-op in order to buy. So there's no reason to go down the path with the buyer if you don't understand what those qualifications are up front and don't show proof that you are pre-approved and financially qualified to buy into the building. Now, in terms of a pre-approval letter, you need to be working with someone who is New York City based, who has a great deal of experience working with co-ops and condos. There are a lot of banks outside of New York City that say, absolutely, we can do that, we can fund co-ops, we work with co-ops, but they don't work with these kinds of buildings on a daily basis, and they will cause problems and headaches during the process. So it's always better if you choose someone in New York City who has extensive experience dealing with the New York City real estate market and can help you out by getting you pre-approved. A pre-approval must include the monthly maintenance charges. It's a full package. It's not just about how much mortgage you can afford. It's how much mortgage plus your monthly costs to carry an apartment in New York City that you must be pre-approved for. So you must really work with someone who is also an expert. And again, if you're working with a buyer's agent, that buyer's agent is going to help you put together a team of people that will help you move through that process, including an attorney and a great mortgage broker, so that you save time, money, and headaches and can, as much as possible, guarantee that you're going to get that dream home and meet the criteria to be able to buy into that building. So don't think of a pre-approval in New York City as just being a letter from a bank somewhere. It is a comprehensive process, and you need to make sure that you are ready with the right kind of pre-approval to buy in New York City. So that is it. If you avoid those 5 mistakes, you can really save thousands, you can move quickly, and you will be prepared to buy in the New York City real estate market. I hope this was helpful. I'm Dewey Moss. I'm your New York City real estate resource, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And if you're planning on buying in New York City, take a look at the description below. There's a link where you can get my buyer's cheat sheet, which includes a lot of information that you need to know about buying in New York City. And I would love to help you find your dream home. Take care, and I'll see you next time.